The TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. And by HDA Modelworks, suppliers of scale model lighting products, detail parts, and complete model kits. Visit HDAModelworks.com today. Hello again, everybody. Boyd here with you, and glad to be back with you in 2018 for our first update of the year. I've been working on this little Star Wars build here. Our group over at the Modelshop Google community is working on a Star Wars group build. We kicked that off about a month ago, and it's going until the end of February. So I've been getting a lot of really cool updates over there from the stuff people are working on, and this is my little contribution to that. I just decided to do this Empire Strikes Back diorama using the 1/144 scale AT-AT kit by Bandai and the 1/144 scale Snowspeeder kit by the same company. I was lucky to get the Snowspeeder because they just recently came out with that kit in the same scale. It comes in a 2-pack along with a 1/48 scale Snowspeeder, and they're both really nice little models, really detailed, really accurate, and I'm really pleased with the Bandai stuff. It's just fantastic. As a lot of you guys know that are already working with it out there, it's just great. The amount of detail and full articulation here of the legs on the AT-AT and the head and all that. It's just really cool. We never had anything like that back in the 70s when I started building models, but a lot of fun to work on. So I decided to do this little snowscape diorama. So I'll talk about what I used here. I mounted everything on this little wooden base that I picked up from Michael's for a couple of bucks. But the snowscape here I created with the Tamiya powder snow effect. It's a new diorama texture paint that they've come up with, and this happens to be their snow effect. It might not show up too well on the camera here, but in person I'm really happy with it. It has a kind of a microscopic granule detail to it, like real snow. The texture is just awesome when you apply it to things. When I started putting it on the feet and everything here, I noticed the way it clings to it and just like I said, the overall texture of it. It's amazing how it looks like realistic snow and how it, like I said, crumbles and clings to things and everything. So it was a pleasure to work with that stuff. I basically just kind of spread around an entire layer of it here and then just started, sculpting it the way I wanted. I took my knife and a few other things and just kind of made some rough blobs of the stuff to make it look like the snow was disturbed where the walker had been walking through, and then having some of it on its feet and everything, and then just giving kind of a almost like a sand dune effect with the wind blowing the snow around and everything. I created a little kind of a skid or streak here in the snow where the snowspeeder came in, and then kind of piled up and kind of a splat effect there. And just was really easy to work with, and then it dried virtually within 3 or 4 hours. It was dry. It dries almost like a plaster. It's very hard. I wouldn't rely on it to hold the model in place. However, it's kind of brittle. It's I had some pieces of it that clumps of it that dried, and I was kind of fiddling around with it, seeing how easy it could break and all that. And it's not that strong. You don't want to depend on it for any kind of structure. So I actually epoxy glued the model down onto the wood base and then just worked the snow around it. I didn't want to trust it to be on there just by itself, but I've also got wiring going through and everything. So got the model mounted and then did all my had done all my painting work and everything on it first. So we'll talk about that too here a little bit. The kit comes molded in the kind of gray color that the walker is supposed to be is the way it appeared in the film. Now I did some reference, like I usually do, looking at the film and everything, and they used a couple of different ones. One of them was painted kind of a dark color with a lot of weathering on it. It had a lot of oil streaks, and everything, and stains running down its legs and all over the body and all that. A lot of wear and tear. That one is one that you see kind of in the foreground, and then in the background there's kind of a lighter colored one that doesn't have nearly as much weathering or damage or anything on it. And I think they kind of were changing that up to give you an idea of scale and things like that. So in my paint job and my weathering, I decided to go kind of halfway in between both of them. I made it a little bit darker than the one that's in the distance, but not as dark as the one that's really close in the shot, as I thought it was too dark. And just started off with that as my base color. I pre-shaded everything in black, and then I sprayed that kind of gray over top of it. That brought out some of the little panel line details and everything. And then I did a wash on it with some of this Tamiya panel line accent. It's just basically an ink. It's like a wash. And then got that all laid down. It cleans up really easy with water or Tamiya paint thinner, so if I got a little too much on there, I could clean it back up. And then I just took the same stuff and just went down the legs and everything, in a few spots, making some oil streaks and all that. And then I came in with some of these other colors here from Tamiya, in brown and gray and all that. Just kind of, did some dirt and a little bit of corrosion and stuff. I tried not to go too far, but I wanted it to be there. I kind of believe that if you do weathering, you want to see it. Otherwise don't do it at all. So, but that's what we came up with. That worked out really nice, and then I just top coated the whole thing with Tamiya dull coat, and really like how it worked out. Now, to get this little fire effect down here on the Snowspeeder, that's a little effect that a lot of people have been using lately. I've seen it around on some military models, and I think going back a couple of years ago, there was a fellow on YouTube that had a huge, it took up his whole entire living room. He had the whole diorama of the battle scene of on the planet Hoth. He had a bunch of walkers. He had all the rebel trench guys there with their surface mounted cannons and all that. But he had these explosions all over on the battlefield there, using, actually at the time he was using regular house light bulbs mounted underneath with cotton coming off of it. He had painted the light bulbs orange, and it gave this really realistic burning or explosion effect. And he mentions on the video at the time that he couldn't run it very long because the heat from the bulbs would actually catch the cotton on fire. So we didn't go to that extreme. Luckily we have modern technology here now, and so I've got just a simple 3mm orange LED mounted here. I basically started off and drilled the hole on the base and glued it in from the bottom. I had the dome of it sticking up. Drilled a matching hole in the wing of the Snowspeeder, and then placed it over the top of it. And then we took some cotton, and we just from a cotton ball, and just kind of stretched it out and shaped it and messed around with it, and glued that down over the top of everything once I applied the snow and all that. And then took my airbrush and just shaded it in a little bit, and got a pretty realistic looking smoke column there. And then with the fire effect flickering on the inside of that, as you can see, it gives a really realistic look. So this is not my creation here. I kind of mimicked some of the things that I'd seen other people doing out there, and just kind of put my own little twist on it, and really love the way that looks. Now, to keep the cotton in place, I sprayed that down liberally with several coats of dull coat, and it's kind of almost like a hairspray. So it's pretty solid, and I'm glad that after coating it that many times, it still kept its kind of, it didn't turn into mush basically. So that should last quite a while on there. But let me pick the camera up off the tripod here, and I'll show you that we also lit the cockpit area there up front on the walker. To get the lighting in there, that was a little bit difficult because we had to come through all this body and down. I brought my wiring down on the right rear leg here and into the base. But I had to drill through 2 or 3 bulkheads here, inside, and through the neck joint, and then all the way through the body here. There were a couple of little bulkheads inside here. Brought my wiring to the center, and then came over to the right rear shoulder area. There's one piece that comes out like this that starts the whole assembly coming down, and that is it's not hollow at all. It's just a flat piece. So I had a trench on the back side of that a little bit with my Dremel tool, and then I glued the wire down against that flat and just sprayed over it with the color so you can't notice it, and then went inside the leg because it starts to become, you know, two halves at that point. Did some careful trenching and came all the way down. And then where I got to the joint areas, I wanted to have that, you know, have them still be able to move. So I just cut a notch inside. You'll see the little ridges that stick up there. I just cut a little notch in each ridge and passed my wire through there. Left a little bit of room so that, you know, the wire could move from side to side. And then all the way down through the foot. If I show you up close here, you might be able to see, just like right in this area right in here, where the wire passes through there from the ankle into the foot. That's the only giveaway that you can see a wire, but it's pretty well hidden. And if you see this little actuator thing kind of blocking it, it kind of hides that a little bit. But here's a look up close at that snow effect on the feet and everything, and you can see how really realistic that stuff is. I really am pleased with that. Can't wait to use that again on something else. But you can see, you know, the stains and the weathering I did on the feet and everything going on up and to the top. I'll just kind of pan around it a little bit. Right at the rear. And then you got the forward part there with a little, I think that really adds to it though, having that part lit up. So yeah, they just kind of, you know, move the snow around a little bit to, you know, make it look broken up like the walker's been moving through, and we got the splat effect going on here where the Snowspeeder came down. Left a few parts flying around here and there. So yeah, a lot of fun with that one. And so as I mentioned, we've got the Snowspeeder kit here in 1/144th, but I also built up the 1/148 scale kit, and we'll pause real quick and come back and show you that one finished up here too while we're at it. Alright everybody, back with you, and here's a look at the 1/48 Snowspeeder that I worked on. Had a lot of fun with this one too, another Bandai kit, and just really like the detail that they give you in these kits. Compared to the old AMT and Revell stuff that used to be out there, it's just amazing what they've done with these, and you know, they're just a pleasure to build. I mean, they just fit together perfectly. Everything works the way it's supposed to. The decals are outstanding quality, you know, the whole 9 yards, so I'm really happy with it. But we just did a basic, you know, beat up weathering paint job on this. Took several layers of you know, shading with the airbrush, some washes to bring out the panel, you know, panel line details, some dry brushing to get the chipping effects on the you know, the markings on the vehicle. Had to hand paint the figures. I've got this set up the same way that they had the original filming miniature, where they didn't put any glass in the you know, in the canopy here, so they didn't get any kind of reflection. But this is a nice little kit. You can take this canopy off, and you can see the really nice detail on the pilot and gunner figures here, down to the they've even got their, you know, their little visors on their helmets, you know, that orange that you have to paint, sort of an orange tinted color. They have that molded onto the face, so you can just easily replicate that look. And just overall, just a, you know, really fantastic job they did with this. So we just weathered it up and beat it up, and you know, using some more of those Tamiya inks and a little bit of, you know, flat black craft acrylic paint from my airbrush, and just had at it. And I'm really happy with it. Like I said, it's looking at reference shots from the film. You know, they had this kind of weathered and beat up, and then they had some kind of frosted look here on the back, like you know, you'd see ice and snow. The flying, you know, the miniatures that they actually used were just a little bit different than the when they show them on the ground, when they're leaving their underground, you know, base, when they're kind of driving along the ground and the cockpits are closing and everything. Look at those, and then look how really dark and beat up and weathered they are, and then look at how they look when they're actually flying, and you'll see a little bit of difference there. But we just, like I said, same thing I did on the AT-AT. I just kind of took a little bit from both and put them together as far as the way I wanted to weather it. And these are, you know, heavily used and they don't have a lot of time for upkeep on the, especially on the appearance side. They mainly, same thing in war. It's kind of a similar thing. You keep the mechanical things working well, but you don't have time to get rid of all the dirt and grime and everything that builds up. You're just under pressure all the time to keep it going. So that's how we kind of theme the weathering on this one. But you got the open air spoiler detail for their maneuvering. You got this one here raising up and the other one on the bottom here going down to simulate like a roll. You can build the model in different poses like that. They give you the extra parts. So that is just really nice. And again, really had a lot of fun. So I don't think I'm quite done with the Star Wars stuff yet. I think I'm going to pick up yet one more kit here, and since we've still got a month to go on the group build, I think I'll grab their little Y-wing kit that they have. I really like that one too. It's just amazing, that they captured every little part that's in that rear section, which is all those greely parts and the piping and everything. It's just a beautiful little kit. So I think I'll do that one too, and give you a little update on that one coming up here pretty shortly. But just wanted to mention as we wrap this one up, we'll be back here with continuing on with a lot of the projects that we started last year. We're going to be back here with the building of the finishing up the UFO, the alien flying saucer kit from the UFO TV series. We're going to build the Shadow ground vehicle that we talked about. We're waiting for our Reliant to come back from Elliott Brown, our 1350, and then a lot of Star Trek stuff coming up here on the channel, and just some other really cool stuff coming down the road, guys. So I hope you'll tune in, and we'll get things going here on a regular basis again for the new year. So like to say thanks for watching the video. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and looking forward to a great 2018. Hope to see you guys doing a lot of work on your stuff out there as well. So take care. We'll catch you next time, and happy modeling, everyone.